So already in the last class we have discussed about lexical analysis, and we have discussed up to symbols, as far as I remember, input buffering, then tokens, and how we specify the pattern for the token using regular expression, right? Now I think up to this slide it is discussed in the last class. Do you remember? I think up to this slide it is discussed in the last class. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
And the screen is there, the slide is there in front of you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, up to this slide, it is discussed in the last class, where basically we are defining some pattern. We are defining some pattern using the regular expression to define the token. So these are my pattern, and which is defined using regular expression, and these are the different tokens for that particular language. And also we have to handle the white spaces, because when we tokenize the entire code, the white spaces in the form of blank, tab, new line has to be removed. So first that has to be scanned using this particular regular expression, which consists of blank, one or more instance of either blank or tab or new line. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, the transition diagram. Transition diagram is very important in the sense that the transition diagram is basically ultimately when we are describing the pattern, we are saying that the pattern, the relational operator less than equal to is this. It has one symbol less than, then the next symbol equal to. Okay. Now, how ultimately it will be implemented? This will be implemented using the state diagram or the transition diagram, where we'll just modeling the entire regular expression in the form of some state. Now this state, if you remember from your automata classes, this state, it has got a start point and some accepting point or the end point. The accepting point is defined by double circle. Okay, so we are starting with the state 0, and upon encountering less than equal to sign, I don't know what will be my next input. It can be equal to, it can be greater than, or it can be other thing. Like, say for example, this is a symbol, say 5. Okay, so based on the next symbol, this will be have different assignment of token. So if it is equal to, then it is going to the final state and returning the token as less than equal to. If it is this symbol, then not equal to, and if it is other symbol like the numericals or numbers, in that case, it will just return less than, relational operator less than. And next is in the first state, we are getting a symbol called equal to, then it will return an equal to symbol. Likewise, it will be designed for all the other relational operator. So this is how the regular expression that is defined, used for defining the pattern for our token will be ultimately implemented using some transition diagram. Is it clear to you? Please don't sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay. Now, this is the next one. I think already we have defined how we are defining the regular expression for identifier, letter followed by a letter or a digit. Okay, so this is how the identifier will be defined. I have a starting point. This is my start node. From there, if I'll have a letter, then it will go to the next state, and then if it is a letter or a digit, it will again go on coming to the same state, because this is a repetitive state. We have used a star symbol, if you remember. Star means it is coming back to the same state. And once it has got other symbol as the next input, once it has got the other symbol as the next input, then this entire thing will be returned as ID or identifier. Tell me whether is it clear to you, or I can explain it to you again, because these are very important. Because you will be given a regular expression, you have to convert this into a transition diagram, and then if this is in the non-deterministic finite automata, then you have to convert this into deterministic finite automata. This is basically what you have to do at the end of this chapter. So these are the things very important. Given a regular expression, how we can convert this into transition diagram, this is very important. So tell me if it is clear to you. All of you, please tell me. Are you all hearing me?
Ma'am, can you explain the
ma'am.
return part?
Return part is basically, it is returning the token. Which token exactly? It is, see, ultimately, whatever you will write, this you have to write in the form of algorithm at the end. This also you have to write in the form of algorithm or any code. Okay. So if your first input is a letter, then again, if the next one is a letter, then again you will remain in this state until you have your other symbol as the next input. This state 10 will be repeated. Okay. So once state 10 is repeated, that means state 10, and once we have encountered another symbol, that means this entire part is my identifier as defined by the regular expression for that particular language. Okay. So in that case, this is my end state. I'll stop it here and I'll return that this is the identifier. This is a token identifier.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. This is just repeatedly how the white spaces will be, say one white space, and then repeatedly if you will go on getting the delimiter, means it can be a blank, tab or new line. Okay, DELIM, basically blank, tab or new line. So if upon receiving any of these things, if one instance, see one, and then this particular loop is basically representing that one or more instance of the delimiter. Okay, one or more instance of delimiter. Delimiter means white space, blank or new line. See, I don't know whether you are getting it or not. Okay. And I'll ask you to.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, if I'm not wrong, delimiter can be anything which separates a string.
Yeah, separates the string. What?
I mean, which partitions a string actually.
Huh?
Which partitions a string actually.
Yeah. Delimiter means, see, who does that? Either a white space, either a this thing blank or a tab, or if you enter a new line.
Yeah, but that's by default. I mean, we can we customize it? Like, I'm saying from the point of view of string tokenizer in Java, and there we can give any delimiter, like capital A can be a delimiter or anything. I mean, customizable delimiter. So is it so in this case, or here these are the specific delimiters? Other than these, they cannot be used.
See, if in the Java it is defined that way, that can be done. But for this particular language, this is like this. But in Java also, capital A cannot be a delimiter. Where do you find it?
Ma'am, if we specify a delimiter,
Yeah.
I mean,
If we
delimiter can be specified.
Yeah. See, ultimately, see, look at this one. For this particular language, it's not that this is for a particular language. We are defining that white space is one or more instance of blank, tab, or new line. Now,
Oh, okay.
okay. So now,
Yes, ma'am, got it.
in general, this is what is followed. But if you can design a new language where you can define a character as a delimiter, that also can be used. But that you'll write here only in the when you are defining the pattern. Okay. When you are defining the pattern for the white space, here you have to do it this way. Is it clear
Yes, ma'am,
now?
understood. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not going into this one. This, I think, it is written, whatever we have discussed in the transition diagram from, this is basically they have written in the form of algorithm. So I think if you go through this program, it will be clear to you. But if you have any problem in the next class, I will get back to you. Just tell me that, ma'am, we have some problem in this part. So I'm leaving this one for your reading and understanding as a homework. Okay, this particular slide. All of you, please mark this. I'll ask you from in the next class. This is slide number. This is our slide number 21. Okay, slide number 21 is for your understanding and reading purpose at home. In the next class, I'll ask you from this slide. See, we have discussed about lex and yak. Now, lexical compiler is basically, it will generate some token. So, say we'll write something, this is something like this. This is how we'll write a program in lexical analyzer. We are defining all our token here. This is how the tokens are defined. Okay. And then using, just a minute. Using the Lex compiler, this is how the stream of token will be generated. So this is just for your understanding that the lexical compiler, lexical analyzer or Lex is used for generation of token. This is basically doing the lexical analysis part of any compiler. Okay, don't have to go into the details of it for the time being. Okay? Just for a knowledge that lexical analyzer is implemented using Lex. Now this is very important, the finite automata. The finite automata is important in the sense that we have defined about regular expression, and this regular expression is used for the specification of token. We have defined the pattern for the token using regular expression. But ultimately, if we have to implement this, we have to use the finite automata. As already I have mentioned that whatever regular expression is defined for specification of the pattern, that has to be converted into some transition diagram that we have discussed in earlier slides. Ultimately, those things you have to convert this into some automata, finite automata. It can be NFA, and then ultimately it has to be converted into a DFA. So for finite automata, I know you have you in the mention in the last class also, you need some brush up, because since it was there in the last semester, and last semester the classes were not that way conducted, maybe you have some confusion. So I'll clear that, no problem. For the time being, you just try to understand that the finite automata, when we're talking about a finite automata, it will have a input alphabet set, some set of state, then it will have a start state, an accepting state, and some transition, like if I am in this state, upon receiving this particular input, I am going to this state. So this is how it consists of 5 essential things. These are the very important things. So this part, I think you have some idea, right? Whatever I'm talking about, the finite automation in this particular slide. Anyone who is not sleeping?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what do you mean by transition? Transition is that I am in a state S1, and then there will be some set of inputs, and we have to define for a particular input, A, which state it is leading to. So this particular symbol will be, we're reading it like this: in state S1 on input A will go to state S2. So this is what the transition actually means, and ultimately we write them in the form of transition table. Okay. Now, end of the input, we have an accepting state, which is also known as the end state, which is basically marked using the double circle. And if no transition is possible, reject. So that will come later on. For the time being, you just think that the accept state is when we are reaching the end state. So these are the different nomenclature for the diagram that will be used in finite automata. A state is a circle. Start state is usually when it is marked with an arrow at the left hand side. Accepting state or the end state is a double circle, and the transition, like from this state to this state upon getting an input A, this is represented this way. So till now it is okay?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So this is a simple example. This is basically what it means, this particular diagram, what it represents. If we want to implement that, the automation, that this particular system will only accept one and nothing else. So this will be represented this way. This is my start state. When I am getting an input 1, it will go to the end state. That means to say that this is a valid pattern or something like that. Accepting means what? This is a valid identifier, or this is a valid white space. This is what exactly means. When we're saying that this is reaching the accepting state, ultimately when we're talking about in the compiler or in the lexical analysis phase, it means that this is accepting this as a particular token. Is it clear to you how the automation is ultimately getting related to the compiler design?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Everyone, anyone else?
No, ma'am.
It is clear to everyone. Good. So I'll take a test at the end of this particular chapter. And this is very important because this is a very important chapter from the exam point of view. Now, what is this? what it is representing. What it is representing. See, when we are representing something as loop, that means any number of 1 will be accepted by this particular implementation. Okay? But after this, after any number of 1s, only 1 0 will be accepted and nothing else. So that means 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 0, it is accepted, but 1 0 1 0 0 0 or 0 0 1 0, this is not accepted. This is also another pattern. This one also, this is a particular slide. After slide 21, slide 30. I'm leaving this as a homework for you. You have to find out what language does this recognize. Okay? Slide 21 and slide 30. I'm leaving this as a homework and we'll explain this in the next class. I'll ask you. You have to explain me and then we'll start from here. Now this is very important. Epsilon moves. Epsilon means 0 instance or null string. So if we have an automation like this representing from A to B and we are saying that null string, this represents that from state A to state B, it can move without even reading the input. It can straightway go from A to B without reading the input. Now let's, still now what we have discussed is just finite automata, and which consist of start state, set of inputs, set of state, end state, and our transition diagrams or transition table. Okay. Now this automation or the finite automata can be of two types. One is deterministic finite automata and another is non-deterministic finite automata. Now how they are different? The deterministic finite automata means that given a state, just try to understand, given a state and an input, there is only one transition and there is no epsilon moves. Whereas in NFA or non-deterministic finite automata, given a state and a input, we can have more than one transition. And also it can have epsilon moves. Please go through the slides line by line. I'm just giving you 2 minutes time and get back to me. I know you have some confusion here. Hello. You can unmute yourself and talk to me.
Ma'am, I couldn't understand the last line. Last 2 lines of the slide.
What is it? Last two line. What is written? Because what is written there?
A finite automata has some finite memory and one more line was there.
Okay. For the time being, just leave this. Just first two one, is it clear to you? The definition of DFA and NFA.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The last one, I think when we'll explain the everything, it will be more clear to you. For the time being, you know, don't need to understand. We'll explain it later on. But first two, if you understand the first two bullets, that is enough for us to go to the next slide. Okay? So we're going to the next slide. This is how a NFA looks like. See, for this state, this first state, which is a start state, when I am getting a input 0, either it is moving to itself or going to the next state. So this is an example of NFA. Okay. See how it is coming. First start state, sorry. Start state. This is my start state. Then a 1 is received. It is going back to itself. A 0 is received. Now this is a problem. It can go back to itself or go to the next state. So 101, it will be accepted by the system. This is how actually a NFA works. So this is how, for a given NFA, it will be converted to a DFA. And when you are talking about NFA, NFA can be represented using regular expression, and basically regular expression for lexical specification or the specification of the pattern, or it can be represented using DFA. And DFA is used for implementation of table-driven implementation. Now, when you're talking about NFA, for epsilon moves, this is how it is represented. Already we have discussed this, and for input A, we are representing it like this. Now, if my regular expression is A followed by B, so this is basically AND, a series type of thing. So this is how it will be represented. This followed by this. A followed by B. But if it is an OR operation or the piping is there, so parallelly either this or this. This is how it will be represented in NFA. In case of, if it is a 0 or more instance of A, this is how it will be represented. Now say for example, you are giving a regular expression. See, now I'll ask you to take out your pen and paper, because we really need to do some problems here. Otherwise, it will not be clear to you. And I'll ask you question. All of you, please take out your pen and paper. So this is how 1 or 0 star 1 is represented using NFA. It is starting, A is the start state. Then they are first implementing this 1 or 0. So this is how 1 from B to G, 1 or 0, how it is represented. Now this entire thing is basically it has got a star, means entire thing can be repeated at 0 or more instance of time. So this entire thing is one segment, and this has been put in the cycle using this epsilon loop. This is how it is done. This is how this entire thing and this entire thing is put in the epsilon loop. Okay, once this has been implemented, 0, 1 or 0 star is implemented, then again this is followed by 1. So this has been put this way. This one segment, this is another segment, A and B kind of thing. And then this is my J is my accepting state. Is it clear to you? Please respond.
Yes, ma'am.
Here, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, one
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
One, yes.
After completing 1 or 0, as many time as possible, we are going for 1. So why there's no continuing line from G to H?
There is the continuing line from G to H because this entire thing, it will be repeated, and once it is upon receiving this epsilon, see, this is how from A it is getting continued. From
If I
A,
want to
because
continue
ultimately-
from G to H means after taking 1, if I want to take another one, means the one that is out of the bracket. So how am I supposed to go?
1 0 star 1. So say for example, this is they say your input symbol is 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 0 1. So
Yes, ma'am.
1, first 1, okay?
Okay.
Then again 1 is received.
Okay.
So it is will again come this way, 1 is received. Again 1 1 1 is received. Then 0. Okay? Then
ma'am.
again 1 is coming, so this way it will go. Are you following
Yes.
the cursor like this pointer? So first 1, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Then again 1, then again 1, then 0, then again
Okay.
this way 1.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
Understood? Because
Yes,
here
ma'am.
actually whatever is the line, it is a 1 0, whatever may be the line, it should end with a 1.
Yes, ma'am.
You are creating a regular expression where you are defining that it can be, there can be number of 1 or 0, but at the end there should be a 1. So it's to ensure that there should be a 1, otherwise it will not go to the accepting state. You are adding this part, H, I and J, to ensure that it will always, this particular pattern will always end with a 1.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the confusion should be there. Otherwise, people are not listening, or you people are not like, maybe you are not just going through it. But what I'll suggest you is that when I'm doing these things, you take a pen and paper and do it. It will be more clear to you. Now, this is very important. How much time is left? Let me explain. I think in the next class, we have to explain the more examples. How we can convert, because ultimately for implementation in a table-driven structure, we need to convert the NFA to DFA. For writing a regular expression to any finite automation, if we'll use the NFA, it is easier to convert a regular expression to NFA. But ultimately, if we have to implement this in a table-driven structure, we have to convert this into DFA. Okay. So is it clear the flow? See, we need to specify some token, and that's why we need to define some pattern using regular expression. And those regular expression ultimately for implementation purpose, if we'll use NFA, it is easier for us to convert this in that particular automation. But ultimately, if we have to implement this using a table-driven structure, that has to be converted into our DFA. So this is the path actually. Okay. Now, how we can convert our NFA to our DFA? Let's go to an example here. Okay, this is a given NFA. There are 3 states, and for this particular NFA, this is my transition diagram. Okay, so we can see that Q0 is my start state. It is indicated this way. From Q0, if my input is 0, it is going to Q0. If my input is 1, it is going to Q1 state. Now for Q1, if it is 0, it is either going to Q1 or, sorry, for Q1 here, it is either going to Q1 or Q2. And if it is 1, it is coming back to Q1. Similarly, Q2, which is the accept state, if it is 0, it is going back to Q2, and if it is 1, either it is going to Q1 or Q2. So this is how this entire diagram, this transition diagram can be written in a tabular form like this. Now what we can see here is that there are some state which is non-deterministic. Now we have to convert this into DFA. What we'll do here is that whenever in the transition diagram, I'll term this Q1, Q2, this is a non-deterministic state. I'll term this as another new state. Q1, Q2 is a new state. Similarly, here also Q1, Q2 is a new state. Okay? So after this, if my Q1, Q2 is a new state, I'm adding this, and since it is having Q2 here, which is an accepting state, so this one also will be a end state or a accepting state, and I'll just write a new transition table. Now we'll find that since Q1, Q2 is my new state, now this is how it has been converted into DFA. And if we write a transition diagram using this new table, this doesn't have any state for which for one input, particular input, it is leading to 2 different states. There is no such thing. So this is my DFA. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay, so let me stop it here. Let me stop it here.